Whispers of Eternity, Unveiling the Book of the Dead. In the dim chambers of a pharaoh's tomb, shadows flicker against the walls, adorned with intricate carvings of gods and underworld realms. A rolled papyrus lies nearby, its surface alive with hieroglyphs, texts so potent they were said to carry the power of protection, wisdom, and passage into the afterlife. This is the Book of the Dead, one of the most mystical and profound creations of ancient Egypt. More than just a collection of spells, the Book of the Dead was a sacred guide, crafted to lead departed souls through the treacherous terrain of the afterlife, ensuring their eternal existence in paradise. In this documentary, we journey into the heart of ancient Egyptian beliefs, peeling back thousands of years to uncover the secrets whispered by this extraordinary text. What can the Book of the Dead tell us about life, death, and the human quest for immortality? Prepare to be immersed in the spiritual ingenuity of one of history's most fascinating civilizations. The story of the Book of the Dead begins deep in Egypt's ancient sands, with its roots tracing back over 4,000 years. Long before the Book of the Dead came into being, the pyramid texts were carved into the walls of royal tombs. These inscriptions, reserved for kings, promised protection and rebirth to the departed rulers. Centuries later, the coffin texts emerged, expanding the idea to include the elite. These markings, painted on wooden coffins, began to hint at the notion that eternal life might not just belong to royalty. And then, over time, the Book of the Dead was born, a masterpiece etched on papyrus scrolls and designed for all who could afford its wisdom. Its purpose was simple yet profound, to act as a roadmap for the soul's survival beyond death. The name Book of the Dead is, of course, a modern term. The ancient Egyptians referred to these texts as chapters of coming forth by day, a title reflecting the hope that the soul would rise, shining like the sun in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians viewed death not as an end, but as a transition, a continuation of existence in another realm. But the path to this afterlife was fraught with challenges. The Book of the Dead offered spells, incantations, and sacred knowledge to help the deceased overcome dangers, navigate the underworld, and prove their worth before divine judges. The journey began at the threshold of death. Armed with the powerful text, the soul, or Ka, embarked on a perilous quest. They were tasked with passing through flaming gates, confronting malevolent demons, and traversing shadowy rivers. Each spell served as armor, a word etched in papyrus, granting safety and progress through each trial. At the heart of the journey lay the Hall of Two Truths, where the deceased's heart was weighed against the feather of Maat, the divine principle of truth, balance, and morality. This scene was one of the most iconic passages in the Book of the Dead. If the heart tipped the scale, heavy with sin, the soul was devoured by Amut, the fearsome crocodile-headed demon. But if it balanced, the deceased was granted entry into the eternal paradise of the fields of reeds, a realm of unending joy and fulfillment. The imagery within the Book of the Dead was as symbolic as it was practical. Central to Egyptian theology was Maat, the concept of cosmic order. It governed not only daily life, but also how one's morality was judged in the afterlife. The feather, representing Maat, became a recurring motif in the text, as did the scales of judgment. The heart itself was considered the seat of a person's being, more significant than the brain. It held all thoughts, deeds, and intentions, serving as the ultimate witness to a life lived either honorably or selfishly. These elements weren't simply abstract ideas. They were tools of spiritual preparation for an eternal existence. The gods also made their presence known throughout the text. Ra, the sun god, offered light and guidance. Osiris, once a mortal king, ruled over the underworld, and Isis, the compassionate mother goddess, symbolized protection and rebirth. Together, they shaped an intricate cosmic order that the deceased had to navigate and honor. The physical beauty of the Book of the Dead is a marvel in itself. Traditionally created on papyrus scrolls, each copy of the text was handwritten, often adorned with vivid illustrations that brought its spells to life. Divine figures, protective hieroglyphs, and fantastical depictions of the afterlife filled its pages with a sense of wonder. Interestingly, no two books were the same. They were custom-made for individuals, tailored to reflect personal beliefs, finances, and aspirations. For the wealthy, lavish versions abounded, incorporating detailed illustrations and expansive texts. Meanwhile, simpler fragments of spells were accessible to middle-class families, showing a democratization of afterlife aspirations over time. Scribes, the literary artisans of ancient Egypt, played a crucial role. Their skilled hands meticulously inscribed the texts, ensuring their accuracy. Mistakes weren't merely errors, they could jeopardize a soul's eternal journey. Similarly, priests acted as spiritual guides, performing rituals and selecting the necessary spells for the deceased. The Book of the Dead provides a window into the deeply spiritual worldview of the ancient Egyptians. To them, life was a preparation for eternity. Their culture revolved around the interconnectedness of the mortal and divine, the physical and spiritual. Death, rather than a feared ending, was perceived as a necessary passage, a chance to transcend earthly limitations. The text reflects their hopes, fears, and devotion to living a life in accordance with Maat. And though much of this belief system may feel distant from today, the human desire for purpose and legacy remains strikingly familiar. The Book of the Dead is not only a spiritual relic, but also a historical treasure. In the 19th century, archaeologists unearthed scrolls in tombs across Egypt, including the famed Valley of the Kings. Among these discoveries was the Papyrus of Ani, one of the most complete versions of the text, showcasing stunning artistry and spiritual insight. Egyptologists like Jean-François Champollion worked tirelessly to decipher hieroglyphs, breathing life into texts that had been silent for centuries. Through modern scholarship, we now understand how these manuscripts shaped the cultural and religious fabric of ancient Egypt. Even today, the Book of the Dead continues to captivate us. Its themes of morality, judgment, and the journey into the unknown resonate deeply. Films, literature, and art draw inspiration from its pages, ensuring its place in the modern imagination. The Book of the Dead stands as a testament to humanity's enduring quest to understand what lies beyond the veil of death. The ancient Egyptians whispered their hopes and wisdom into its verses, believing they could speak across eternity. Their legacy reminds us that while the mysteries of the afterlife remain unsolved, the search for meaning unites us all. Perhaps that is the true magic of the Book of the Dead. It bridges the mortal and the infinite, the ancient and the modern, leaving us awestruck by the resilience of a civilization that dared to dream of eternity. As the camera pans away from the golden sands of Egypt, the hieroglyphs seem to glow faintly, as if offering one final, whispered secret. Life and death are but two chapters in a story far greater than ourselves.